Alright, hey everybody, it's Po' Boy Fresh back at you from the Bargain Bin Studio, and today I thought I'd do a quick tip video on the MPC. This is going to be a quick and dirty way of chopping out individual drum sounds from a drum break without using the chop page and without extracting any individual samples. So, get this out of here. So I've got a drum break loaded up here. I loaded this one off the SD card. It's another one from AJ Hall. Sounds pretty good. But I want to chop this up and I want to use the individual drum sounds for my own pattern. This initial part of the process does not necessarily apply if you're sampling from vinyl or from another source where you're only recording just the part that you need. But with this, if you have a pack like this where you have a bunch of 16 bar long drum breaks, the first thing that I always do is I find a part of the sample that has all the sounds in it that I want, including any drum rolls, fills, and stuff like that. So, and you can see on the waveform here, these little busier areas kind of give you a good indication of where some of that stuff might be. Then pad 5 is note on from the start point. So you let it off and then you just kind of move that start point around. So right there, that's pretty much perfect. I'm just going to move that back just a little bit and we're going to grab the end point here because there's double hi-hats, there's kicks, there's snares, there's a snare roll in there. Couple different, and then this can just be quick and dirty. It doesn't need to be very precise. So that's the first thing I'm going to do is just discard that, and now I have a much smaller sample to work with. It'll be a lot easier. I won't have to zoom in and out as much. The next thing that I want to do is if I'm going to make this mono or if I'm going to bit reduce it, I want to do that now on the whole thing because that is going to create new samples whenever you do that. I'm going to go ahead and make it mono. And when you're making it mono, especially on drums, you want to go ahead and use either the left or right channel. And this will depend on your source. And, you know, if you are sampling from vinyl and your drums are panned hard left and you've got other instruments panned hard right, then you want to take the left channel. But if it's a clean drum break like this, it doesn't really matter. You just want to take whichever side has the cleanest signal. So I'm going to just take the left, go ahead and make that mono. Go over to this new sample here. Now, I've got the mono sample to work with. Now, this is where things get a little bit different than how you would normally do it. Normally, most people would go into the chop page and they'd put in slices and all that, and then turn off link slices and go and adjust the endpoints and everything, make it really time consuming, and then put that onto a new track, you know, convert that to a new track using slices. This is super straightforward because I've already got a drum track here. This is a brand new project. Haven't touched it yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to isolate these sounds, make sure that I've got zero crossing turned on now, zero snap. Zoom in here, get these start and end points really dialed in. Leave some air after the snare, right up to that hat right there. And then now, instead of extracting this into its own sample, I'm very quickly just going to assign it to a pad. Now, it's very important when you're doing it this way that you leave pad parameters enabled. I'll go ahead and demonstrate what happens if you switch it to non-destructive. And this might actually answer some people's questions on what the difference actually is. So we're going to assign that to pad A5. There's that snare that I isolated, right? So now, if I go back in here and say I want to grab this other little piece right here, well, I've just moved those start and end points. I haven't assigned it to anything yet, but if I go back out here, this one is now moved. That's why, because when you set it to non-destructive, it actually puts the slice points onto the sample itself. Pad parameters, on the other hand, puts the slice points on the pad and leaves the sample alone, so you can go back and change them again later. So let's get that dialed back in and take this snare again. And then first I'm going to go ahead just do that. And then we're going to assign this via pad parameters back to that same pad. Now I'm going to do this same process for everything else. See, I got a kick right here. just kind of roughly move it in. We're going to zoom in, tighten that start point up and that end point. We're going to put that here. A2, pad parameters. See what this slightly different kick sound. Let's get that tightened up just a bit. Endpoint. And put that right there. That's going to be, I'm going to process that a little bit to be a ghost kick later on, but worry about that later. Got another snare right here. Need to put that next to the other snare. And then we've got this little snare roll, I believe is what this is. Good, good. Let's go ahead and get that endpoint going. Start point. Put that there. Then we've got this little double hat right here. If you've seen my videos before, you know I like working with double hats when I can. It's easier than layering and doing offsets. I'm going to put that over here somewhere. And so now I've got a whole kit put together. I haven't had to go into chop mode. I haven't had to create a new track. I haven't had to extract any samples and rename them and all of that kind of stuff, and then have a whole bunch of samples up here to scroll through. You can see I've still just got the original stereo version and the mono version, and that's the only samples I have right now in my whole project. I don't have a whole bunch of one-shots or anything like that. And I was able to do all of that just by using the assign with pad parameters enabled. That's important. And I've got a whole kit put together just like that. Now you can process each one of these the same way that you normally would. And so if I want to go into the program editor and I want to turn this into a ghost kick, for example, let's make this a low pass, right? And go into the amp envelope. Like you normally would. And so there you go. Very, very quick way to put together a kit out of a drum break without going through the whole process of chopping it, using the chop mode, and then converting it to a new drum track. Anyway, that's it for this quick tip video on the MPC. I hope this is helpful for somebody. It's definitely a process that I've started using. It makes it so much faster. Just isolate the part of the break that you actually need that has all the sounds in it, especially if you're loading in a long, clean drum break like this from a pack off your SD card. Just go ahead and trim that down and discard the ends. Makes it so much faster when you don't have to zoom as much and you don't have to go into the chop menu and do all of that. So thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all again next time.